So this is going to be another movie review. This one's called 1941, made in 1979. It's a colorized version of Batman serial from Columbia, and it's got Slim Pickens from Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Love the Bomb. Slim Pickens is the only reason to watch, by the way. So it's got the Batman racism, and it's also got that kind of historical inaccuracy that you'd see in a Laurel and Hardy movie from around the 1940s. You know, when Stan Laurel drops a bomb on a German guy who happens to be standing on a Japanese submarine. That's how absurd the propaganda is in this one. And it figures because it's directed by, of course, Steven Spielberg. My stepdad once said that Steven Spielberg never missed in any of his movies. Well, I guess Batteries Not Included and or 1941 would be considered misses. Among others, I know he wasn't successful in all of his endeavors. This one got panned by the critics, by the way, despite costing $35 million in 1979, which was big money back then. It was made a couple years after Close Encounters of the Second Kind, or the Third Kind, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, whatever. It's been so long since I've seen that movie, probably when I was a kid, but in any case, my stepdad probably liked this one. It's corny and dumb. It's got 5 or 6 different storylines, kind of like Dark Shadows, but the storylines are hella dumb. The only funny parts are Slim Pickens in the Japanese submarine. And the dancing's pretty good at the USO shindig. But other than that, I dislike this movie. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. And when I say that it's historically inaccurate, I'm not saying like most reviewers do that, by the way, the Japanese never invaded California, duh. Yeah, that part is pretty much obvious. It's the beginning sort of prologue, kind of rolling words that kind of bother me. I mean, granted, I am a historical revisionist when it comes to this kind of stuff, but basically it says that the United States was caught by surprise. Oh, really? I thought FDR knew about this the whole time. And the whole movie kind of reminded me of the stupidity of the time. You know, people volunteering for the army to fight the Krauts and the Japs. And if I heard yellow one time, I was going to puke. It's like watching a Batman serial from 1941 or whenever that came out, early 40s. But it's worse than Batman because they keep repeating it over and over again. And this movie goes on for 116 minutes. And people complain on Netflix that it's the cut version, but it's not really the cut version. It's the theatrical release. They just happen to add 26 more minutes of garbage and propaganda. On the television version. So it's basically about, like I said, the absurd notion that Christopher Lee, the Kraut guy, and a bunch of Japanese are in a submarine boat. They're looking for Hollywood so they can blow up Hollywood and cripple the United States main industry at the time. yeah, I guess people were kind of depressed. They wanted to go to the movies because it was the Great Depression. So that part made sense, but it was just historical fiction. It was supposed to be comedy, and they're supposed to be spoofing the Japanese and the Germans, kind of like Laurel and Hardy. Can't remember the name of the movie. Uh, it's in the bag, maybe. I don't know why they um, I don't know why this movie reminded me of Laurel Hardy. There's that one scene at the end that was kind of dumb. But like I said, people who lived during this time, 1941, were generally dumb. Even my grandfather, who was a Republican, worshipped FDR. He got on the GI Bill. That's how he paid his way through college. So he was pretty happy about that. He's lucky he didn't die in war, and he never talked about war. He probably suffered from shell shock or some shit. So that's a different side story. There's a lot of actors in this. I'm not going to go through all of them. I listed them in the description box. If you want to look through them. That's another thing about this movie. It's got a ton of talent, short on script. So the only time I really laughed was the time when Slim Pickens was in the submarine boat trying to outsmart the Japanese and the German Christopher Lee. And then there's that guy from Beverly Hills Vamp. I forget his name, but he's got a dummy and he's in some kind of Ferris wheel that goes rolling down the Santa Monica Pier into the ocean or whatever. After the Japanese submarine boat started shooting torpedoes or bombs at it or something. So that part was pretty funny too. Not as funny as Slim Pickens, though. It has its moments, but I couldn't give it 3 stars like I gave the other Ned Beatty film, Rudy, 3 stars. This one wasn't as good as Rudy. I've been watching Ned Beatty flicks on Netflix Instant View because they sent me a cracked disc for Blade in the Dark. And then they sent Dark Shadows in reverse order. They're supposed to send me disc 2 first. You know, collection 18, disc 2. They sent me collection 18, disc 3, and I still don't have disc 2. So it's out of order. I'm not going to watch disc 3 without disc 2. It's bad enough that they don't have all the discs, so there's a break in the series because not all of them were available for a long time. Then I put them on the top of my queue, and they're still not shipping them. So I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe it's a glitch. Who knows? But they show a lot of scenes from the movie Dumbo. I guess it came out around the same time, 1941, and that was kind of interesting. And even Dan Aykroyd, when he does his propaganda speech against the Japs and the Germans, the Krauts, he mentioned Disney a lot. Like the Japanese are going to blow up Disney and destroy Disney. So that was kind of bizarre. But kind of remind me of the stupidity. I mean, it's kind of crap and scratching their heads going, man, these U.S. movies are hella dumb. That kind of thing. And what else was I going to say about this? I forgot, but so it's got the Dumbo thing. There's also something else in it that kind of grabbed my attention. Yeah, I can't remember now. It was very fleeting, interesting tidbit of trivia that about the stupidity of people in the United States. But ironically, the chubby youngin lady is much prettier than any of the other female leads in this one. Yeah, she because she's chubby. I would have gone over to her and said, "Hey, doll, let's dance." But that's just me. I'm kind of weird that way. So, anyways, oh, the music is by somebody famous. It's directed by Spielberg. I mentioned that. It's produced by John Milius, and then Robert is the wrote the screenplay with some other guy that I never heard of, and then John Williams did the musical score. So they spent a lot of money on this. They hired a lot of actors, but Zemeckis came up with a crappy script, so it's not the first time, by the way. Anyways, that's why I disliked mainstream movies for so long. Started watching cult movies, and hopefully Ned Beatty is in some better cult movies, something better than this, outside the mainstream, so to speak. Oh, I was going to say, takes place during Christmas season, which is another commercialized piece of poop. If you've ever seen the movie Brazil, it's funny. This kid is on Santa's knee. Santa says, "What do you want for Christmas, little boy?" And the little boy goes, "A credit card, a credit card." So it's got that in the movie, kind of interesting. Speaking of which, I was in San Francisco today around Haight Street, close to Golden Gate Park, where the McDonald's is. There used to be Amoeba Records. I don't know if it's still there, but the Red Vic movie house used to be there. It was a cool place to hang out, basically, but I guess they have a daycare center there. I was going on a date with a short Indian woman, and she invited me to this daycare center because I have a 5-year-old son. Anyway, this month they've got How Much Is That Doggy in the windows at Macy's Union Square. Then they've got some kind of holiday 3D light show. I don't know if you can see that, but it's supposed to be at Westfield Mall, Union Square again. Let's see if I can take my son to those two tomorrow. And then you've got next month, you've got free Christmas lights in South San Francisco. There's Christmas Tree Lane in Alameda. Starts at 5:30. That's a pretty good time. Tom and Jerry's Christmas display, 6:30. That's kind of late at night. It's at some Noe Valley Victorian joint. Must be pretty expensive to live there. But in any case, the holidays are coming up soon, so I got some free toys at the daycare center place. This one's called Jenga. I can wrap that up, give it to my 3-year-old son. He loves to play with Legos. This is for 6 and up. It's only 5 though. You'll probably dig that. And then I got a couple tickets here for there's one more gift here. Where is that? Oh, here it is. So I got 2 tickets to the general mission to Aquarium by the Bay over on Pier 39. Cool beans, man. Yeah, I could definitely use these. Plus, they give us food, but the strawberries were moldy. Uh, and then it had a lot of weird stuff in there, like chicken liver and chickpeas and friggin', I don't know, some kind of spinach shit. And then there's hummus, all of which I won't eat, but my vegan mother will eat it. So I'll bring that on Thanksgiving. Laters.